Hey friends, okay, so I want to share with you something really cool that happened this fall. If you have ever thought of being a content creator for the glory of God or just interested in it, then you are going to want to stay here. So this fall, I was asked to be a part of this conference called Called to Communicate, and it's full of Catholic speakers and writers and different people who want to share the gospel of God to different people. And so I was asked to be one of the speakers, and I'm going to share it with the whole interview with you in a couple minutes. But I want to let you know, if you do feel called to proclaim the gospel, maybe do YouTube, write blogs, write books, anything, do a podcast, then you definitely want to check out this conference. It was a little while ago, but you can still it will cost a little bit, but it's not expensive and it's so worth it. I mean, there are so many amazing speakers. I'll show you right here a picture of all the speakers, and they just share the ins and outs of what they do and why they do it. First part of the interview is why did I feel like God called me to this? And then after that, I shared what has helped me to grow on the platform and different, things that I learned and did and all of that. It's pretty cool, but it's a pretty neat interview format and all of that. So you get to see mine for free, but if you want to check out all the other speakers and really dive in, I wish I had this conference when I was getting started, because it would have been so much easier. So I'll put the link down below if you want the entire conference. So all you have to do is just put Heather down below and you'll get $10 off the entire thing. So definitely check that out down below. But here is my interview that they did with me.
Hi, and welcome back to Called to Communicate. I'm very excited about this conference and introducing you to some amazing Catholic presenters, speakers, and even YouTubers. My guest this time is Heather Johnson, and we both are Catholic moms. We contribute in a lot of different ways. Our content overlaps, but what she really has a gift is sharing about her Catholic life through Catholic YouTubing and sharing. And so Heather, I'm excited. First of all, it's the first time we've really talked. We've done some joint collaborative stuff in the past, but been able to have a conversation and share about your ministry work. So I'd love to start with, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how the heck you broke into YouTube.
Yes, it is a story. So my name is Heather. I have 5 children, happily married. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 3. And I have always had a passion for sharing the faith. My biggest passion, of course, is God, the Catholic faith. And throughout my whole growing up, my mom was awesome at teaching me the faith and teaching me about the saints and about the Sacred Heart. And, she had a big conversion. And so she was so excited to share the faith, and to this day she is faithful Catholic, and so it was just neat to have that growing up. And I knew from when I was a little girl that I wanted to be a saint, but because of all the saint stories she would read to me, I just thought they're amazing. And so yeah, growing up, I had a great childhood that my mom taught me the faith, and she was kind of learning the faith too, even though she was brought up Catholic. So I learned a lot from her. And then I was a Catholic youth counselor as well, and learned the faith through the different counselors, who a lot of them went into the seminary. And it just kind of was the first time where I was like, oh, there's more people like me. I was the only one at my school that I felt like who loved the Catholic faith and loved Jesus and stuff. So it was like, oh, there are people out there like me. This is wonderful. So then I got into ministry. I went to college for interior design, but I felt a passion to, talk about God. And so I joined Net Ministries and did a year there, and it was wonderful traveling and meeting more people who love the Catholic faith. And then I moved to Hawaii, and, same thing. There was a ministry starting up there, and I helped them. And then I finally met my husband, and we moved to California, and when I was there, I had Thomas, my oldest, and I really was looking for fellowship because I kind of left my whole life to be with my husband in California, and I didn't know anybody. And so, of course, where do you go? You go to the Catholic faith, the Catholic church, and see if there's any Catholic, mommies or Bible studies or anything. And sure enough, there was a Catholic mommy group. And so I joined that. And so for 2 years, got to know them. And then the leader of that moved. And so I was like, okay. And so they asked me to be the leader. And I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, it was like, a little intimidating to me. But no one else would step up. So I was like, okay, like I want this to continue. So I will do it. So I did it. And I was surprised that I was like decent, with it. And I was okay with like leading a group and, all the things. So then we ended up moving, and we moved to like a small town, and there were a lot of like, it looked like moms, in the parish, but I didn't really know anybody. So I went to the office and asked them if I could start a Catholic mommy group. And the lady at the front desk just straight up was like, no, there's a lot of people who've been asking, but no, we don't have the space for it. And I was like, oh, okay. And there was a lot of space. So I was like, okay, clearly God's shutting that door. But I was driving home that day, and I remember just being like, feeling deflated, like, okay, God, like, what do you want me to do? I feel like I'm called to evangelize, and I don't know to who. And I very clearly heard God say, start a YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'd never really watched YouTube. I don't know how to edit anything. I'm not a speaker, like, all the things. I was like, but I instantly had the zeal for it. And I said, God, if you can convince my husband that I should do this, because my husband is pretty anti social media and, doesn't like any attention, and I don't either. So it's just kind of funny. But I was like, if you can convince my husband, then I will do it. And so I could all day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And he came home, and I told him, I feel like God wants me to start a YouTube channel. And he's like, oh, that's ridiculous, Heather. Like, he was like not super supportive at first. And I was like, okay, and he's like, but yeah, if that's what you want to do. And I was like, really? Like, I was shocked, because if my husband, like, but it was like, okay. So clearly I felt like that was from God. And so from that instant, I just had this zeal and this passion to proclaim the gospel, talk about motherhood, talk about kind of like what my mom did for me, was teach the faith, like just things that I feel like our culture doesn't do very well anymore, just the basics of the faith. And so I started, and like, you can look back at my old one, and it's pretty funny because I just don't, like, you could tell I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know how to edit it. So through time, I learned how to do all those things. And I learned everything on YouTube. Like, how do I make that little picture, for my, for my channel, like to say what video it is. It's called the thumbnail. I didn't know that. I was like trying to look that up. And so I just learned through YouTube how to do YouTube. So it was pretty fascinating, and I've been doing it about 7.5 years now. And there's been a lot of like spiritual warfare in that, but also a lot of like grace and direction, and, just a lot of really interesting things, because it is kind of one of those things. I knew at first nobody would know who I am. So I could like kind of like tweak what I wanted to do and figure out like what kind of videos, and I can always delete them if I need to. But like, once I figured out like how to do it, it was great. Even like learning how to do it was really fun for me. Like, I just really, like, God just, like I said, gave me this zeal of like YouTube. And like I said, I'd never like really watched YouTube before. And I've always thought maybe a blog or something like that, but I guess God wanted me to do YouTube. So it's been pretty fascinating journey so far.
Wow. I'm so glad you shared that. And I love that the Lord like was clear with you, right?
Yeah.
On something like that. And you were willing to follow.
Yeah.
And you definitely okay, so you have a lot of followers on this YouTube channel called is it A Catholic Mother's Life? Is that what it's?
Catholic Mom's Life. Yeah.
Catholic Mom's Life. So everyone can check out A Catholic Mom's Life. You were saying that you took off the summer to spend time with the kids. Then you
Yep.
enter and you start. How often do you post? How much time does it take?
Yeah.
Can you incorporate the children? What are some of the guidelines or even suggestions you'd have if someone says, I want to join Heather and get on YouTube?
Yeah. We need it. So yes, please join YouTube. It is so yes, I do it once a week. I used to do like 3 times a week because I was so much zeal and passion. I couldn't wait to get out. Then it was like I said, just very much Holy Spirit. And now I've realized, like, okay, you need to calm down. Like, you need to just, I was kind of letting my family, like the house wasn't as clean and all that because I was just so into it. God was very clear with me at the beginning, like, you need to have it all balanced or I will take it away. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's good. So I always knew I needed to put my family first. And so when the kids would nap, I would like film a video and then edit it and then put it out. And so it was one of those things. I just had constant ideas and excitement. And I do feel like the Holy Spirit like led me to different ideas and things. I felt like God wanted the channel to be geared towards him, but also relational, like something that people can see, like, what does, an everyday Catholic mom look like, like very just basic, like it's nothing like, extravagant or anything, but just like, oh, she prays in the morning. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I could try to pray in the morning. Or, like people who didn't have a mom like I did that taught them the faith as they were growing up. What does that look like? Just the basic, like, motherhood. What does it look like? So I do a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. Those are the harder ones for me to do, the blogs, because there's a lot of work in them. You have to remember, oh yeah, this might be interesting to film, or so I prefer like the sit down, because just because of like family life and stuff, it's easier to like have sit down and talk about the faith. But also I do like where I fold laundry and I'll talk about life, and I think that's also relational, that people are interested in. People aren't interested if they don't know you. So I've kind of had to build up, like, let me tell you about the Catholic faith. But then like people are like, who is this woman talking about the Catholic faith? Like, what is she like behind the scenes? So that's where I felt like God was like, let's teach them like relational, like what does a Catholic mom look like, and stuff. So and there was a lot of insecurity because at the time that I started, there were a lot of Catholic YouTube channels that were like theologians. And I was so insecure because I was not a theologian. Like yeah, I read my Bible and I knew the catechism, but I didn't feel like, let me tell you, like in that way. So it was more like, let me share with you how the Catholic faith has touched my life and what has, what that was about and why I am the way I am, type of thing. So it wasn't really about me. It was more like pointed back to Jesus, because I'm really like a nobody, but like within that nobody, God like still can speak, and stuff. So anyway, it is interesting because I feel like it took maybe like 2 to 3 years of me like being very insecure of like, but I'm not a theologian. Like, what if I say something wrong? Like I was just so worried. And then God told me one day, like through prayer, my insecurity, he's like, Heather, you just have to be you. That's all I want from you. You don't have to like be anything special. Like, like, I mean, you are special, but like, you don't have to like try to fit a mold. Just be you. Like, I asked you to do this because of who you are. And I was like, oh, I just have to be me? Like, that's amazing. Like, I can just be me, So then it kind of gave me this like, oh, like this pressure off of me of like trying to figure out what God wanted me to be. It was like, no, I just like, you are who I want you to be. So that was really neat. So my kids aren't in the videos a lot. every once in a while I'll do like a day in the life, and they'll come in and they love it. They think it's great. But I also like want to give them their privacy, and stuff. But there is like this thing of like people are like, don't show your children online. And so like I understand that, but I also understand people want to see the relational part of like me with my children and what does that look like, and so there is a balance there of like I do want to share that with them, but I also want to, respect the family and that part. So once in a while, probably like 4 times a year, I'll do like a vlog where I share behind the scenes and what my life looks like and stuff. But the other times I'll usually like talk about the faith, and like I did a video on 5 things I don't do as a Catholic woman. And and it's more like I just want people to know, because I feel like our society is so okay with sin. That like, and I feel like the Catholic faith doesn't do a good job teaching the faith anymore, like just the basics. I've had people ask me, and I don't think they were like trolling me or anything, but they just were like, is it wrong to have sex before marriage? And just like basic things like that. And I'm like, people don't know the basics anymore because sin has infiltrated our society so much that I'm just talking about basic things that the Catholic Church teaches. And I try to relate it to my life. Like what do I do and my failures? Like I am, for some reason, I am fine sharing my failures. I have no problem with that. So I think that might help too, like relating to other people of like, oh, like she's not perfect either. Like she has her flaws, and I think maybe that's maybe why God picked me. I don't know, but like just to be really real about who I am and my mistakes and, type of thing. So, yeah, and I do pray. Like I feel like the Holy Spirit leads me. My husband does not, I make sure that my husband doesn't know that I do YouTube. I mean, he knows I do YouTube, but when he comes home, there's no evidence, like everything's clean, type of thing. And he prefers it that way. He supports me. He's glad that I do it. I remember um when I first was into YouTube, and I think I'd been doing it for like 4 months, and I was like, honey, he walked in the door from work. And I said, honey, I have 65 subscribers. And he's like, what? Who are these weirdos? And I was like, I hope they're Catholic moms. Like, but he was just he has a very unique style. And I think it was perfect because he does not at all put me on a pedestal, or, you know what I mean? Like, he just is like, okay, you do your thing if you feel God's calling you to it. But it's so funny. I'm like, God picked him specifically for my husband and this ministry. And like he does not want to be filmed or anything. I've asked him so many times because I'm like, men need to hear it too. Like, and he's such an amazing, godly man, but he does not feel called at all. So I'm like, okay.
All right, I have a couple of questions. You got my mind just thinking so much about YouTube and ministry and how it started. So when let's say I love that topic, 5 things a Catholic woman doesn't do, or you don't do as a Catholic woman. Do you write a script out? Do you put down the key points and then record? What have you kind of evolved to doing to make it efficient? And the
Yeah.
second thing is, do you think people find all of your videos through hashtags? Do you think that's really working? Do you pay to boost? Do you do sponsorships that help? Because it seems like YouTube's just a sea of information. So
Yeah.
how do you navigate that?
Okay. Yeah. So what was the first question?
Do you write a script out? Do you
Okay.
script it all out or just put some key thoughts down?
Okay, yes. So I do put bullet points because I can't go by a script. I don't have a good memory. So I just go by bullet. Like I'll do a talk, like I'll write out a talk, several talks, and then I'll kind of feel like which one does God want me to do? And what do I feel the most like confident talking about? And so I'll just put key points, and then I will try to just kind of go off of that and ask the Holy Spirit to lead me. And I do know there are people who write out the whole script, memorize it, and they'll say 3 sentences, stop it, and then they'll like memorize the next couple sentences. So, and that works for them. So I think it's different for everybody with that. For me, I just have to like go off of memory and like try to be organic with that. Like Holy Spirit, just fill in the gaps. And there is a comfort in YouTube because you can always edit it out. And there's a lot of editing that I need because I'm not very good at it. So that's okay. That's the great thing about YouTube is you can, and there have been videos where I've done, and I'm like, I didn't like that. And I'll redo the whole video after editing a whole video. And I'm like, no, I could do this better, So that's kind of the great thing about YouTube is like you get to make it what you want. It's not like you're a speaker up front and you like say the wrong word. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like you can correct yourself within the video. So what I'll do is I usually do all my work when Maria is sleeping. So she's my little 3-year-old, and I've always done that. So when the kids are sleeping, that's when I do my work because I really do want to stay faithful to being a homemaker and wife and my vocation in that. And so I'll make sure that the family comes first, and then I will do my scripts and write everything. So usually like Mondays, I'll write out my script. And then Tuesday, I'll film it. Wednesday, I'll edit it. And I'll try to do that a week before. So I'm like a week ahead. You can schedule out your videos. So I'll do it like a week before. And then I'll like have it go live every Wednesday at 2:00. And that way, like if I'm running late on something, I can figure it out. Like timing it works for me. So, and then searchable, yeah, like I don't feel like hashtags aren't that great for me. What has helped me are searchable, like the search engine. So the first video that did really well was how to pray a rosary. And I remember being like, oh, this is silly. Like everyone knows how to pray a rosary, but I love Mother Mary, so I'm sure there's people who don't know. So I'm just gonna do it, and I did it, and that's what got my channel notoriety. And like every time people put in rosary, it would pop up for like the first 3 years. Like that was the video that like and it was a good thumbnail, and people are very, you do have to like remember YouTube is a visual thing. So you do want to be visually, like I try to have a nice background, I do my hair, makeup, because the people who are watching YouTube are usually visual learners, because they could go on a podcast and like do podcasts where they're audio, but usually they're audio and visual learners when they're here on YouTube. So I try to like, get all gussied up and stuff for YouTube. And then also, so you want to do searchable, but then also relational. For me, I've noticed I have to kind of weave it all in. So sometimes I'll do like things that will pop up, like even how to pray a Divine Mercy chaplet, um, what to know about the Catholic faith, because people are looking up Catholic, interested in the Catholic, like becoming Catholic. What do I want to do? Or how do I start being Catholic? So I'm trying to think, what would people search up? And so usually about once a month. So once every 3 or 4 videos, I'll try to do that, a searchable video. And then the other ones are more for people who are trying, who find me a friend and they want to be a friend and they're looking for, just a mom who's a little bit lonely and wants a friendship. And so many people have said that's what my channel is to them. And I love that. Like, that's so sweet to me. And so it's so the rest of the channels or videos are for them, like, and I mean, and anybody obviously who wants to, but it's also to teach the faith. I try in every video, even if it's cooking, I try to talk about the faith in some way, a little bit of sprinkles of that, so that is a part of my life and stuff, or the video.
Do you have people subscribing to a newsletter? Like, do you just have they subscribe obviously to the channel?
Yeah.
And are you communicating outside of the YouTube through, email, or like, do you have an email list, or what does that look like for you?
I do. I noticed for me, it was just a bit too much. Like like a couple years ago, I hired on people, because I was like, I want to like spread the word more, but I just got stretched too thin on, so like, just, you kind of have to know your balance and like what you can do, and I did a lot with Instagram and all of that. And I just felt like God was like, that's too much. I didn't ask you to do Instagram. I didn't ask you to do that, And so I was like, oh, you're right. Like, that's what I wanted to do because that's the cool thing to do. And I mean, I still like post, but I don't like spend a lot of time trying to, once in a while I'll do a little video because I feel inspired, but it's not like that's my main focus. So, um, yeah, it's all been organic. I haven't done anything where I've paid to like show videos or anything. I just kind of feel like, God, this is yours. If you want it to grow and continue, like you will push it out to the people who need this video or, that type of thing. So, but you do need to stay consistent, I will say. So once a week is probably the least amount that you would want to grow. And it takes a long time. Like, I think that's the thing. A lot of people, they want YouTube and they wanted the instant, like, viral video. And, it takes a long time. I don't think I got my first viral video till a year ago, and that was 6 years later and stuff. So you just have to be patient and just, there's a lot of spiritual warfare and you need to know, like, is this God I still ask myself all the time or ask God, is this what you want? Like, or is this what I want? Because I don't want to do it if it's not what you want, And so I constantly have to give it back to God and make him the focus and, and proclaim the gospel in that way. So yeah, those, I would say thumbnail though too is really important. Like things like that, like how to make a really nice thumbnail and make it kind of, because if it's not a nice thumbnail, a lot of people won't even click on it. So little things like that. And the title. So the title is huge as well. Like even with the algorithm and everything, that is really huge. So, and you can look up on YouTube, like how to have a good title or, AI helps so much too. I've had a couple AI thumbnails and they actually did really well. So the AI thing is helpful. So yeah.
Oh, good. I have another question. When you are getting ready to post, it says, is this for children? You have to kind of declare what kind of video. Which category do your videos fall in as a Catholic mom?
Oh, that's interesting. I always do adult because
Okay.
then you can monetize. But I have one video that is for children and it's for Stations of the Cross and it's specifically for children, but they just took it off because it was YouTube said it's the first strike I ever got was on like Stations of the Cross. And I was like, wow, that's really sad, but because it didn't follow the guidelines of not being, um, whatever. So anyway, but everything else has been for adults.
So when you're filling out forms, you write that you're a YouTuber. Like when they're like, "What's your occupation?"
Sometimes
You have to say,
I say I work in video. Like I feel
you're like every kid's dream, right? I want to grow up and be
oh,
a YouTuber.
yeah.
And then how does that work with monetizing? Like what does a Catholic woman communicator, what should she expect? Is it really hard to monetize or maybe some different ways in those early years if they're looking to generate an additional income?
Yeah, it is very different. I think that's why a lot of YouTubers don't probably talk about it because every month is so different. So my goal is to pay for my children's Catholic education, with any of the money I make. Cause there are like affiliate links too, like you can put in, or you could show a product and, say it's down in the link below. And so through all of that, I've never been able to pay for my children's Catholic education yet. So it's more of a, and I was like, man, that's so sad. After 7 years, I still can't pay for my children's Catholic education. And that's even with Patreon. And Eric's my husband, he's like, well, you're good thing you're doing it for God. So you don't need to worry. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's just kind of like, I would have hoped by now that I could have paid for my children's Catholic education, but it's okay. Like, I also know God will, like, everything, like, God will figure it out. I do know people do, like, I did one video where it was sponsored and I don't really do sponsored videos. Now, if you do sponsored videos, you can make a lot of money. So there are YouTubers that make a lot of money, and also monetizing. So on YouTube is where they put different. So if you watch a video, you can see little ads in between the videos. So that's how they monetize, and you get a little bit of that as well. And so you could always put more ads in, but then people might click off and stuff. So it is kind of a balance. But it definitely it if you're doing it for the money, it's probably, I think a lot of people, that's why they end up not doing it for very long, because it's a lot of work and not a huge payoff.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I love that you shared your concrete goal, because a lot of times we do need to know why. And I also partner with my husband for Catholic education. So that's a really important goal, and I'm glad that you shared that. So okay, let's talk about, Heather. People can find you by coming to YouTube, and we
Okay.
at the top we type, right, like, give people some concrete steps to how to connect with you, and any closing thoughts as well.
Okay. Yeah. So if you look up A Catholic Mom's Life on YouTube, I usually pop up. Even if you put Catholic Mom, usually I pop up. But there's a couple other ones now that I'm really excited about. So, but yeah, if you go on YouTube and then you can subscribe, and then every Wednesday at 2, I come up. And then I do have a website that you can go on to, and there are a couple of ministries that are over there where it teaches the faith as well, to like children and to the family. So if you want to, it's called Faith in Five. So if you want to at dinner time like teach the faith to your kids, it's just a little like snippet of Catholic faith, and it has questions, and it's kind of interactive, but teaching the faith. So I try to like do things like that, and also like how to pray the rosary and all of that. So that's on a catholicmomslife.com. That you can go to my website and just check that out. I do have Instagram. I don't post too much, but Catholic Mom's Life there too. So those are like the main ones. I'm on Facebook too, but my main thing is like Wednesday at 2 o'clock is my video, and then I try not to do too much more, just out of obedience to God and stuff. But
I love that. And I love that a big takeaway is it's all put away when your husband comes home,
yeah,
right? You
yep,
get just Heather and the kids and life,
yeah.
and you hear about the adventures of YouTube, or go to your channel and check it out as well. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. Well, thank you. I know this, your time is precious. I really appreciate that you shared your time with us today. And, just keep all those young communicators in
Yeah.
prayers and thoughts. And I can't wait to check out on Wednesday your next video. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Yes. Thanks for
All right.
having me. All right, so that's the interview. I hope that it maybe helps somebody out there, or get an idea of like what I do and why I do it. And if you, like I said, if you're interested in proclaiming the gospel, sharing the good news, down below has all the information for all the other speakers, all the other talks, and it's phenomenal. They're all so good, amazing. You'll be blown away. It will be a lot of really good information for you. And just put in the code Heather and you'll get $10 off the entire thing. So anyway, I hope this video helped, and I'll talk to you later. God bless. Bye.